Whoa, 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 whoa. Nice doggy. Nice doggy.
Did that seem a little over-dramatized? Try walking your dog with a muzzle on in public, and it's actually not too far off the mark. Muzzles are a hot topic among dog owners. Some people think muzzling a dog is mean or offensive, while others see it as a valuable tool for safety. I'm in the safety camp, and that's for a couple of reasons. The first is that if you are caught up in a disaster and need to go to an emergency shelter, some emergency shelters only accept muzzled pets. You do not want to be choosing between saving yourself and saving your dog. The second reason is that if your dog ever gets hurt, they may bite someone trying to help them. If they aren't comfortable with a muzzle, it will only add to their distress. There's other reasons why you want to muzzle train your dog, such as to stop them from gulping down rocks, poop, or other foreign objects while out on walks. Just a few weeks ago, Tank tried to gobble down a cheeseburger someone left in a bush. I don't know which was worse, fishing around in his mouth or knowing that I was fishing for someone's old burger and later on someone's abandoned chicken bone. Disgusting. Although there's a lot of great reasons to muzzle train your dog, there's cons too. The biggest con is the stigma surrounding muzzles. People see your dog wearing a muzzle, even if it's only because you don't want to shell out $5,000 for foreign object surgery, and they automatically assume your dog is a bad dog. Well, this is definitely something to consider. If you want or need to muzzle train your dog, this is the video for you. This video will be showcasing Tank learning to wear a muzzle. Let's get started by looking at two types of muzzle. I have here a flat muzzle. This is a mesh muzzle, and it's designed to close the dog's mouth and keep it shut. The theory is that a dog can't bite you if it can't open its mouth. Some dogs are wizards. Some dogs can bite through these mesh muzzles. The issue with wearing these is they can only be used a few minutes at a time. They're used at like the vet's office or at the groom shop for a few minutes to do nails or give a shot or something that the dog may bite for, and then immediately taken off. You can't use these long term because if the dog's mouth is shut, that means it can't pant, it can't eat, it can't drink, and if it vomits, it's in a world of trouble. While these do have their place, I do have one in my emergency kit, and I do think that they should be used in short-term scenarios in an emergency case. They're not ideal for almost everything else. My other muzzle that I have here is the one that I got to train Tank. This is a biothane muzzle. Now this one isn't bite proof. It's flexible. The biothane can move, so the dog could theoretically push the muzzle against your arm and bite through it. You can see how it's folded around my arm. The bite is possible, and that bite could happen if it's chasing a squirrel. The other thing is, if an ear or something gets through the mesh, the dog can bite that ear, or the finger in this case, it can get through. So this isn't a bite-proof muzzle, and it's not scavenger-proof because you can see I opted to get a treat hole, so it's easier to feed treats. And I chose this one not because it's bite-proof, because my dog doesn't really need that anymore. He did have biting issues a long time ago, but we've done a lot of training, and he really isn't a bite risk anymore. But I did want him to learn how to use this, and I wanted something light, so it wasn't too heavy on his face, and I wanted something that I could easily feed treats with, and I wanted something colorful because of the stigma on muzzles. I don't want people throwing themselves through windows because they see my dog in a muzzle while we're out training. So this was a good choice for me, but if you're looking for a bite-proof muzzle, you'll want like a stiff vinyl muzzle that's really thick, or an agitation muzzle that's leather, or a wire metal basket muzzle. So those are more bite-proof options. And if your dog is a scavenger, they have muzzles that have like a flat plastic or metal barrier right here that stops them from eating anything on the ground, and that's called a scavenger guard. So you'll want to look for a scavenger guard. In any case, muzzles like this, the vinyls, the leathers, pretty much every other type of muzzle but the flat muzzle are designed for pant room. So you can see here, this muzzle is huge compared to this one. And the reason why it looks so outsized compared to a Chihuahua's face is because he can open his mouth completely and pant when he's in this muzzle. Also, if he vomits, there's somewhere for it to go. It can come out of the muzzle and he won't choke. These are good for long-term use because the dog can pant, it can throw up, they can even drink and eat through the muzzle. So these are great if you need to be in the muzzle for a longer period of time. Vinyl, leather, all the other types of muzzles, they also have varying degrees of pant room. If you need help with measurements, if you need help with like training homework sheets, all of that's available on my blog, as well as recommended muzzle types, because there's just so much out there. There's too much information to go into in one video. Moving on, we're gonna start training, but we're not gonna start with this. We're gonna start with a pup cup.
Having something close to your face takes a little getting used to. You want your dog to feel comfortable putting their face into something to start off muzzle training. A pup cup is a great start because they can practice really getting in there to get that cream. Just a quick note, if you have a big dog, yogurt tubs work great for this. Just find a tub that fits the size of your dog's muzzle. Once they're comfortable reaching in to get every last speck, you can move on to putting a little baby food, whipped cream, or other treat in the bottom of the muzzle and having them lick it off there. Now we're going to pretend to put the muzzle on, but we're not going to fasten it. He should view this muzzle as a treat basket for food. If you take one piece of advice away from this video, I'd like it to be that you don't rush this process. As you can see, while Tank was completely on board with the pup cup and eating out of the muzzle, he wasn't so sure when I changed my hand position as if to put it on. Although you can't rush this process, I am aware that in certain parts of the world, muzzles are now required for certain breeds of dogs, whether they are ready for a muzzle or not. If this is the case, you can still condition your dog to the muzzle, but my advice would be to take advantage of the fact that dogs don't generalize and get two muzzles. One will be what your dog is forced to wear right now, and the forever muzzle will be what you train in. When your dog is comfortable wearing the forever muzzle, you can give or sell the old muzzle away, but that way it will be clear to your dog what's happening, and training will be easier on your part. I'd recommend copious amounts of treats no matter which muzzle you're using. Back to Tank, part of the reason why he wasn't responding well was some training mistakes I made. I tried moving the muzzle towards his face to get the muzzle buckled on, but he wasn't ready for that. It's not recommended to move the muzzle towards the dog like this anyway. You want the dog coming forward toward the muzzle, not the muzzle coming towards the dog. The difference is in how it feels to the dog. They would rather consent to putting their face in the muzzle than just put up with it while you are doing something strange with their head. I used a clicker to reinforce Tank for putting his face in the muzzle and holding it there for longer and longer periods, so that buckling it would be easier. I stayed at this level, trying different hand positions where buckling the muzzle would still be possible, until he was just as happy with eating out of the muzzle at this stage as the previous one. The goal is to make sure that he likes wearing the muzzle, which means going at his pace, not mine. A lot of people rush here and try to fasten up the straps before the dog is ready. It might feel like the same step, moving your hands in different positions, but it's not. Keep working on this till your dog is not even glancing at your hands to get those yummy treats. It took Tank about 3 lessons to be on board with reaching in while I held the muzzle as if to put it on. I then moved the straps to touch the back of his neck, and he was not on board with that. See how he's pulling out of the muzzle even though there is still yummy whipped cream? He's not sure about those straps. When this happens, break it into smaller steps. Instead of holding both straps against the back of his neck, I held just one, and that was okay. We practiced this about 3 lessons before adding the second strap. You may need more steps, or you may need to take longer. What you're looking for isn't the amount of lessons, but how the dog is behaving. Is he diving in for those treats, or is he hanging back? Does he pull back when you do something different? Those are signs you need to stay at the level you're at, or make the next step forward smaller. Another technique for working on sensitive areas is to start with a warm-up. Since Tank is uncomfortable with the strap touching his neck, we'll ask him just to put his face in a few times, which he loves, and then do a strap touch. You can also do a cool down after you've worked on the touchy area by going back to just the easy reach-ins before finishing the lesson. Another thing you can do to add a degree of difficulty to muzzle training is to move the muzzle a little bit while the dog is trying to eat the whipped cream or cheese. This will simulate the motion he may feel of the muzzle on his face, as well as getting him used to tiny changes with the muzzle. We had to stay at the strap touch for quite a while before he was relaxed while it was happening. It helped to put a pile of treats at the bottom of the muzzle, so he could eat steadily while I was moving the straps. After weeks of working at this level and not seeing much progress, I hit on the idea of pairing the initial putting on of the muzzle with going for a walk, his favorite thing in the world. We started training by the door to get him used to it. I had him put on his harness and leash, put his muzzle on, walk out the door, and then immediately remove the muzzle. He did shake his head a little, an indication that he wasn't 100% with the muzzle, but otherwise did very well. We repeated a training session with the straps for the door after, which he willingly engaged in, and then again the next day with no walk because it was so moody outside. He began associating the muzzle with going for a walk after about 5 sessions. In between each of these sessions, we did easier sessions of just eating out of the muzzle or playing with the straps. The end result was a dog happy to go for a walk in his muzzle, and no effort on his part to remove it. He can sniff, explore, and best of all, not eat gross things while walking now. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, it really helps us out.